Glencoe, Ontario. This is horse country. Elizabeth Redavski has always lived here and has always loved the country lifestyle.
I'm a country bum. Grew up on a farm. I loved going out and just taking care of the animals, and I helped doing hay. I had a little 410 shotgun that was given to me by my dad.
She liked to raise rabbits and just a little bit of everything. One time she had a pet pig, and she babied that little piggy and it got big.
More than anything else, Elizabeth loves to ride horses.
I love the horses. They just seem to understand me.
Glencoe is paradise for horse lovers, and as just about everyone will tell you, a tight-knit community. Kelly Dupont is a local horse boarder.
Most people are related to each other. I did find that. And a lot of good people, though.
In 2002, Elizabeth is 26. She works part-time selling dog licensing tags outside of Glencoe, a small Canadian farming village just north of Lake Erie.
You just needed to go from farm to farm throughout the whole township, basically just have people buy dog licenses.
The job is a good fit for easygoing Elizabeth.
Oh, she trusted everybody.
I don't pass judgment on people.
Oh, everybody knows everybody for sure. Not too much gets away without everybody knowing what the next door neighbor's doing.
Elizabeth lives with her boyfriend, Andy. They've been together 6 years, but unlike Elizabeth, Andy's not into horses.
I would always ride by myself. I know it was very dangerous to ride by myself, but if you have nobody to go with you, you just go do it.
Elizabeth is about to meet a stranger who shares her passion.
Oh, there was rumors regarding a lone rider that was out riding. We didn't know who it was.
Yeah, basically he came into town and rode into town and nobody knew him. Like, who's that guy? So
That guy turns out to be Angelo Headington. Elizabeth meets him when she pulls into a farm just outside town. Angelo has a job as a farmhand at Rhine Minima's farm.
I think he was working for Minima, and then he got injured.
Angelo doesn't have any cash to pay for his dog's license. He explains he fell off a fence and won't be able to work again until his leg recovers. Elizabeth agrees to collect the money from him later. Their conversation quickly turns from dogs to horses.
He says, oh yeah, he has a horse, and oh, where's your horse? And oh, he's in the barn. That was my first visit.
Relationship expert Stacy Kaiser and forensic psychologist Brian Russell see loneliness as a key part of this instant attraction.
There's always something attractive about the mysterious stranger riding into town, and I think that's part of what happened with Elizabeth and Angelo.
The connection on the horses, I think, is more than superficial.
The fact that Angelo is injured makes him appear vulnerable. And it really plays to something in a young woman because she thinks maybe she can help him.
A lot of women have a nurturing, motherly kind of instinct. And when somebody seems needy, injured, whether it's emotionally and or physically, it can sort of trigger that.
I think the horse was probably the biggest thing, that she found someone, a man that likes horses and had a horse.
Elizabeth's connection with Angelo grows stronger when she meets his horse, Excel.
In meeting Excel for the first time, he was a very gentle horse. He had a very soft eye. In being an animal lover, you can always judge an owner by the way the animal acts. I took from that he showed that he cared so much about his animals that he would care about people just as much.
Angelo tells Elizabeth how, as a teenager, he gave volunteer riding lessons to people with disabilities. She's thoroughly charmed.
talked a bit about my horse. He was a flea-bitten Appaloosa.
They swap stories about learning to ride and the times they've been bucked.
Every time I talked about my horse and I had a story about something that had happened to my horse, he would always give me a story, something relating. We had a lot of common issues, common adventures.
Soon, they're calling each other Ange and Liz, and the conversation turns personal.
He had said that he was married before, and he was just trying to move on, and I had told him that I had a boyfriend at the time, and Andy wasn't a horse lover.
Elizabeth confesses to Angelo her relationship with Andy has reached a dead end. By April 2002, Angelo and Elizabeth are spending almost all their time together. But cracks in their relationship are starting to show. Angelo is more and more possessive.
If she was anywhere near me, he would be within 5-10 feet, always within listening distance.
Angelo accompanies Elizabeth to work every day and stays for her entire shift.
The only thing I knew, all of a sudden, he was in the picture. He would wait till lunch in my coffee room and sit there and never leave.
At first, Alma chalks it up to the folly of youth.
One time they came with the same kind of shirt. So I thought, well, that is kind of cute. They might really like each other, you know?
But then she notices Elizabeth is losing weight. And when she compliments her about it, Angelo is the one who replies, saying he wants his girlfriend nice and thin. Reporter Jennifer O'Brien says that in spite of his baby face, Angelo's known as a tough guy.
He was real gruff, kind of spoke from the stomach, would, do things like kind of, macho things, like spit while he was speaking to someone, and talk kind of crude, and he had his hands in his pockets all the time, and he was playing with himself.
Angelo's behavior seems to be a little bit dichotomous because on the one side, Angelo seems to be really trying to project a lot of what we might call kind of rough masculinity. On the other side, Angelo seems to be trying to project a lot of sensitivity. And when people's behavior is dichotomous like that, it suggests to me as a psychologist that perhaps there's some chameleon-like phenomenon in play.
There are really two sides to Angelo. And it's really common for women to be attracted to that. They want the bad boy on the outside who appears soft on the inside.
When Elizabeth's dad, Tom Redavski, meets Angelo in person for the first time, he notices a change in his daughter's behavior.
You sit on the couch, and he made Elizabeth sit there, straight up, knees together, and hands on her legs. And he said, "You sit straight." And right from that day on, I knew there was going to be a problem.
I just sat there with my hands in my lap and looked pretty. He had come up with different ways to control me. I needed to act like a lady. I needed to dress like a lady. Okay, I was willing to do that for someone that showed me that they appreciated it.
The girl who used to be more of a tomboy is now dressing in floral dresses. And I think that this is legitimately concerning. Something has changed in her. Somehow she's being influenced.
Well, I think to the extent that Elizabeth is the one who seems to be making the changes and the sacrifices, it suggests that she is in the one-down position. She's the one who has less power in the relationship. She's the one who's acquiescing to.
Over time, people start to notice strange injuries on Elizabeth, and when questioned, there's always a plausible explanation.
Liz came to the house one day and she had this big black eye, and I was questioning her about it, and she said, "Oh, it's the horse."
I think the last time they showed up, I believe Elizabeth had a black eye. I know my wife asked her what had happened, and Elizabeth had told her that she ran into a trailer door.
At work, Elizabeth's boss, Alma, finds Angelo's presence less charming and more menacing.
I look at her hands and she have a, all over her hands, blisters. To me, it looks like a burns. I said, what happened over there? And Angela jumped in right away. Oh, she fell off the horse, and she landed in a poison ivy with both hands.
Tom tries to give his daughter a way out.
One night she called me up and I could tell, like in her voice, that there was something wrong. And I asked her. I said, is he hitting you? And she wouldn't say. So I said to her, you tell me. Because I'm only a short distance away, but nothing ever come out.
Elizabeth doesn't take her father up on his offer to help. And things only get worse. In August, Elizabeth is admitted to the hospital with life-threatening injuries.
I didn't think I was going to make it. I just chalked it up as I'm dead.
She is treated for bruising, swelling, a collapsed lung, and vaginal lacerations.
I was basically bleeding to death.
Elizabeth is given 7 units of blood. There are 12 in the average adult body. She tells doctors she was in a horseback riding accident.
Because of where my injury was, I told them that the horse had bucked and I had come down and landed on the saddle horn. And thus be why I had such a very large cut down there.
It seems completely inconceivable to me that the injuries that Elizabeth had at this point were adequately, reasonably, believably explained away by having fallen on a saddle horn.
Clearly, the abuse is getting more intense. That said, even the best counselor or hospital professional, they can lead that horse to water, but they can't make her drink. And so they can give her the tools, they can talk to her about leaving, but she's an adult, and if she wants to stay in that situation, she gets to stay in that situation.
Ange would not leave my side when I was at the hospital. He wouldn't let the doctors or the nurses talk to me by myself. I kept telling the doctors that I wanted to go home.
But back home, Elizabeth drops more bad news on her family.
That she had a miscarriage and she had lost the baby.
Then, on September 21st, Chatham police get an urgent call. There's been a stabbing at the couple's new address. Only this time, Angelo's in trouble.
He was laying on the front step when the police arrived.
Elizabeth tells police a burglar broke in. Angelo went to the door and was attacked. With Angelo in critical condition, Elizabeth braces for the worst.
We always thought we should have told her, but then if you told her, does she snap then, or does she know what she's married to? We thought maybe she knew what she was married to.
Angelo Headington is stabbed in the early morning hours of September 21st, 2002. He's rushed to the hospital.
I kept saying to Ange that he'll be okay, everything will be okay. And then, as I was being pulled away, I heard Ange say, "It was my wife." I had Ange's blood all over me. They wouldn't let me wash.
Elizabeth is taken into custody for further interrogation. The next day, the police tell Elizabeth that her husband has just been pronounced dead.
It had said that Ange had passed away. And that I was officially charged with first-degree murder.
What the detective says next is even more shocking. He tells her the name of her deceased husband is not Angelo.
The detective referred to Angelo as Angela. And I kept saying, no, his name is Angelo. And he asked me if I understood exactly what was going on. Ange was a girl.
The paramedics made an observation which led them to believe that the person who they believed was a male person was in fact a female person.
On their way to the hospital, the paramedics discovered a prosthetic penis under Angelo's clothes.
The police came to the door and said, "We have to talk to you. It's about your daughter." And there's something else, like, he is not a he, he's a she.
The story is everywhere, and Angelo's secret is the talk of the town.
How do you keep something like that quiet?
My son showed me the newspaper. I said, no, it cannot be.
People were quite shocked to find out that Angela was a woman.
Elizabeth Redavski is in custody after stabbing her partner, Angelo Headington. After his death, police learn Angelo is really Angela, a woman living as a man. The court proceeding in April 2003 is only a day long.
There had been murders and there had been abuse cases, but nothing like this. I'm thinking, this is a movie.
For the first time, the public learns how Angelo was really killed. It starts when Angelo threatens the life of Elizabeth's 8-year-old niece.
We had a bit of an episode where he just argued with me, and we just argued back and forth. I was finally standing up for myself and telling him that I've had enough. I can't take this no more. I'm done. I just want out. He said that he would have my niece's head brought to me on a platter in the morning. And I was very confused on why he would harm a defenseless child in all this, that she had nothing to do with this. Just leave her alone. And he said no. He says to me, well, I think I'm gonna kill you and deal with your body in the morning. And then all of a sudden, he attacked me and started coming at me. Started grabbing me by the throat. I fought back.
She manages, for the first time, to escape. But Angelo catches up before Elizabeth can break free.
I don't remember doing any of this. It was like I was watching a movie. I just remember him saying, "You stabbed me."
Police say the evidence supports Elizabeth's version of events and her allegations of abuse.
We seized a vacuum cleaner pipe. There was DNA that we were able to extract from that pipe that supported allegations that Elizabeth had made.
I told the truth. It felt so good to finally get it out.
The court also hears a summary of Dr. Jaffe's report on her psychological state and why she couldn't leave Angelo.
Most people think, well, I could never be in that situation. Give me, show me a crack in the door, I'm out of there so fast. But that's not the reality. Part of abuse is taking somebody down a very dark highway So if an abuser gets a victim to tell one lie, then you're part of the scam. Then you feel even more trapped.
Elizabeth says her mental state also kept her from asking questions about Angelo's sexuality.
I'm not naive. I guess deep down I did know Angelo wasn't Angela. When you're put in certain circumstances and you're told and forced to believe certain things, your mind goes into a defense mode. You just learn to overlook people's flaws. You just learn to take things in stride, go with the flow, don't ask questions. People are who they are.
Defense mechanisms are very powerful things. You can truly convince yourself that what you think you're seeing, you're not. But I also think it might have been embarrassing for her. She might not want to have admitted that she maybe made a mistake and believed that Angelo was a man when he was genetically a woman.
I think Elizabeth probably loved Angelo, at least at the beginning. And it's hard to really know if Angelo loved Elizabeth as a person or loved the representation that Elizabeth provided of what Angelo wanted to be.
I don't think that Angelo is just a mean, evil person. I think that Angelo is deeply disturbed and doesn't know how to deal with his emotions, and he acts out because of it.
I think Angelo was a mean, evil person who was also disturbed.
There's another dimension here which I think was unique in the sense that Angelo was threatening not only to harm her, but also harm a niece of hers and, or harm her parents. So in that way, you're totally captive, because even if you can seek freedom, you might be endangering somebody else who you love.
I'm not one to call people's bluffs. Do you want to play Russian roulette with your family's lives? I didn't want to.
I don't think it was wrong that Elizabeth stabbed him. At the time of the stabbing, Elizabeth feared for her life.
I think Elizabeth is very lucky to be alive today. Who knows what Angelo might have done had she not killed him.
The judge, Crown prosecutors, and police investigators agree Elizabeth Redavski acted in self-defense when she killed Angelo Headington.
The only difference between women who kill and women who don't is the severity of the abuse that somebody's facing. The more severe the abuse, the more sexual abuse, the more threats to somebody's life, the more likely somebody is to kill ultimately in self-defense.
The murder charge against Elizabeth is dropped. Angelo's parents are said to support this decision.
Angela had lost her life as a result of being stabbed, and she has family, and they were deeply affected by that. But we could not ignore the fact that this was a very abusive relationship.
Marlene was quite emotional about it and very remorseful. She was remorseful, I think, over being unable to help her daughter. And also she was remorseful and regretful over not helping Elizabeth. She had said to me, she killed my daughter, but what other choice did she have?
10 years after these events, Elizabeth lives a normal life and has advice for other victims of domestic abuse.
As much as you think you're alone, you're not. It takes you to step up and say something if you're in danger.
I'm really glad that Elizabeth decided to tell her story, because I believe that she has been through a traumatic experience. And so it's my belief that her sharing what she went through is actually part of the process of getting better and not going through something like that again.
Obviously, one of the messages from what Elizabeth went through, it's a message to friends, family, neighbors, even co-workers, that victims need people to keep asking questions, to be supportive.
I really feel bad about it that I did not see it coming with Elizabeth, what was going through.
I think I just felt so guilty about not being able to help her.
In 2007, Elizabeth gets married. Sadly, her husband Mike dies of a heart attack shortly after the birth of their son, Luke.
Luke is part of Mike. That's what she's living for.
She just lived for that little kid, you know?
I don't know how she can be so strong.
I always question, why did I make it through this? I believe it was for Mike and Luke. Don't get these tears wrong. I'm happy.